The wind was cold that December morning, biting through the thin layers of fabric that clung to her trembling body. Elena Cruz stood on the corner of 5th and Madison, clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps." Cars passed by in a blur of silver and sound. No one stopped. No one looked. To the world, she was invisible, just another face lost in the endless struggle of survival. Once, she had been a dancer. Once, she had a stage, music, and dreams that felt like sunlight. But after her husband's accident, after the hospital bills buried them alive, after the eviction notice came and the lights went out, Elena's rhythm had turned into a fight just to breathe. Every morning, she came to that same corner, her old duffel bag filled with nothing but memories, a pair of worn ballet shoes, a faded photograph of her husband, and a scarf her mother had knitted before she passed. She didn't beg loudly, she just stood quietly, holding her sign, praying for a few dollars to buy bread. It was on one of those mornings that she heard the music. A sleek black limousine pulled up to the curb across the street. From it emerged a boy, maybe 17, his legs thin and motionless, his body confined to a wheelchair. Behind him, a woman in a tailored suit adjusted his blanket, her movements crisp but caring. The boy had something fragile about him, an aura of sadness that no wealth could hide. His name, though she didn't know it yet, was Michael Carter. Michael was the only son of billionaire real estate magnate Richard Carter. To the world, he had everything: money, fame, privilege. But what the world didn't see was the pain he lived with every day. 2 years ago, an accident had stolen his ability to walk. The doctors said he might never stand again. Physical therapy hadn't helped. Hope had become a stranger. His mother wheeled him toward the small park near the corner where Elena stood. He wore headphones, but his eyes were distant, like someone who'd stopped believing in miracles a long time ago. And then, as if guided by fate, their eyes met. For a brief moment, Elena saw herself in him, the quiet hopelessness, the weight of things lost. She smiled softly, not the kind of smile that asks for pity, but the kind that offers warmth without expectation. To her surprise, Michael smiled back. The music playing through his headphones was faint but familiar. She could hear the beat, the slow rhythm of a piano ballad, the kind that used to accompany her dances in another lifetime. And before she even realized what she was doing, Elena began to move. Her body remembered what her mind had forgotten. Her arms lifted gracefully, her feet gliding across the concrete sidewalk in small, precise motions. She didn't care that people were watching, or that her clothes were torn, or that her stomach was empty. In that moment, the music filled her, and for the first time in years, she felt alive. Michael's eyes widened, his lips parted. He pulled off his headphones to hear the faint hum of her voice. She was humming along to his song. His mother stopped in shock, unsure whether to intervene. But something about Elena's dance held her frozen. There was no performance in it, no pretense. It was raw, vulnerable, beautiful. Elena spun slowly, ending with her hands over her heart, her eyes closed as if offering a prayer to the wind. When she opened them again, Michael was clapping. Not politely, genuinely. "That was amazing," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. She smiled again, a little embarrassed. "Just an old habit," she replied. "I used to dance. Long time ago." "You should still dance," he said. "You make it look like it matters." She looked at him, unsure what to say. "It does," she finally whispered. "It's all I have left." They talked for a few minutes before his mother called him back to the car. As they drove away, Michael looked out the window, watching Elena shrink into the distance. This mysterious woman who, for a few brief moments, had made him feel something again. The next day, the limo returned. Michael had begged his mother to stop by the same park. When he saw Elena, his face lit up like sunrise. He'd brought something with him, his portable speaker. "Will you dance with me?" he asked. Elena laughed softly. "You can't dance, sweetheart. You're in a chair." "Then dance for me," he said. "And I'll play." He pressed play, and music filled the cold winter air, soft jazz, the kind that wrapped around the soul. Elena hesitated for only a moment before moving again, her steps light, her face radiant. Her movements were imperfect, weathered by years of hardship, but every gesture spoke of resilience. Halfway through the song, she reached out and took Michael's hands. Then we danced together, she said. He looked startled, but she didn't let go. She moved his chair gently in rhythm, spinning him in small circles, guiding his hands, making him part of the music. And then something happened. Something no doctor could have explained. As the song built toward its crescendo, Michael's fingers twitched. He felt warmth spreading through his legs, a tingling sensation he hadn't felt in years. His breath caught, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Keep going," Elena said, her voice trembling. "Feel it, don't stop." Tears streamed down his face as he moved, his body responding in ways it hadn't since before the accident. It wasn't a miracle yet. Not fully, but it was something real, something alive. When the song ended, his mother stood frozen, her hands covering her mouth. "Michael, your legs," she whispered. I felt them," he said, his voice shaking. "Mom, I felt my legs." Elena's heart pounded. She didn't know what had just happened, but she knew this moment would stay with her forever. Over the next weeks, Michael and his mother came back every day. Elena danced. Michael moved his hands, his arms, and eventually, his legs. The doctors couldn't explain it, but his mobility slowly began to return. Physical therapists said it was impossible. His father called it divine intervention. Elena just called it faith. One snowy afternoon, as soft flakes fell from the gray sky, Michael stood up from his wheelchair. It was shaky, brief, but it was real. He took one step, then another, reaching for Elena's hands. The park erupted in applause. Strangers cried. Michael's mother sobbed openly. And Elena, she just held him, whispering, "You did it. You're dancing." News of the miracle spread quickly. Reporters flooded the park. Cameras flashed. Everyone wanted to know who the mysterious woman was, the beggar who had helped a billionaire's son walk again. But Elena disappeared before they could find her. Weeks later, the Carters traced her to a small shelter downtown. She was sitting by a window, quietly stitching donated clothes for children. When Michael walked in, on his own 2 feet, she gasped. "Look at you," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I told you I'd dance again," he said, smiling through his own tears. "But only if you'd be there." She stood slowly, unsure whether she was dreaming. Michael reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a golden pendant shaped like a pair of ballet shoes. "You gave me my legs back," he said. "Let me help you get your life back." His family offered her a job at one of their foundations, working with underprivileged children, teaching them dance as therapy. Elena hesitated, afraid of accepting charity. But Michael's mother took her hand gently and said, "You didn't ask for help. You gave it. Now let us give it back." A year later, Elena stood on a small stage in front of a group of children, some disabled, some homeless, all broken in their own ways. The studio was warm, filled with laughter and music. Michael often visited, sometimes dancing, sometimes just watching, his steps still a little uncertain but full of joy. They had named the place, the second step. Every time Elena looked at those children, she remembered the cold mornings on the street, the hunger, the loneliness, and how one act of kindness, one simple moment of connection, had changed everything. Because miracles didn't always happen in cathedrals or hospitals. Sometimes, they happened on street corners, between strangers who refused to stop believing in the goodness of the human heart. Elena never became rich. She never danced on grand stages again. But every time she saw Michael walk across the studio floor, every time a child found hope in movement, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. And on the anniversary of that first dance, Michael brought her a bouquet of white lilies, the same kind her husband had given her the night she first performed professionally. "You know," she said, smiling through tears, "you reminded me how to dance again too." Michael nodded. "Then I guess we saved each other." Outside, snow began to fall again, soft and silent. Music drifted through the air, and for a brief, perfect moment, it felt like the whole world was dancing.